The primary arm Cyclops. Let's check it out. Today we're going to take a look at the 1X Prism scope that's called the Cyclops. This is one that I've actually been long awaiting and really excited about getting a hold of. There's a number of reasons, we'll talk about it, but one of the biggest reasons, if you have any kind of stigmatism or you have, just loss of sight from just getting a little bit older, one thing about a red dot is what you see is what you get. You can't change it. With a Prism scope, we have a focus ring here on the back, and this diopter will actually help you to focus in pretty much no matter what your eyesight is doing, and that could really be important in a grid down situation. We're going to check to make sure the gun is unloaded. We have it on a stand so there's no magazine. Check the chamber, and it's empty. Okay guys, I want to give you just a general idea of the scope is proportion to the rifle and the size. Being a 1X, it's going to be smaller than most of your scopes. But being a Prism scope with some of the features that it incorporates, it's going to be larger than, let's say, your micro dot or your red dot. This is a Vortex Spark II, and it's definitely smaller. And because of that, it's lighter. There's some advantages that way. But we're really going to look at some of the big advantages of the Prism scope. And we have this on a Boyd's laminated hardwood stock, which I love for my AR. Now, one of the things about a Prism scope that is so appealing is that they are super tough. You can put this on a 50 BMG and it's going to hold up. The body is aluminum, of course, and it's 6061 T6. You have scope covers that flip up. Of course, those can be removed without any trouble. To me, one of the biggest advantages of this scope, especially for those with stigmatisms or like me, my eyes are just, getting to that age where I'm needing a little bit of help. This gives you a way to focus. A lot of times on red dots, you look into the sight and it can be like a starburst or just a oblong blob. And this is going to really make the difference with this focus ring. If you don't have any kind of problems, that's okay too, because you can get it to where it'll focus just right. But that's one of the big things I think that's an appeal to a lot of guys is just this diopter ring. The adjustments are half MOA and they're tethered. I'll tell you right now, and this is the way it is with any scope with a tether, is a lot of times you have to hold that to let it turn. Here you've got your settings. Can turn this with a shell case, which I've done a number of times, and it's half MOA and it goes up to 50 MOA total for windage and elevation. It has a generous eye relief of 4 inches. And guys, when you're at 4 inches, the field of view completely fills the scope. Now, it does have an etched reticle, which to me is critical for any kind of really go-to rifle. But it also is illuminated. And you have 11 settings, and they are red. And of course, you can go from 0 to 1, or you can go in the other direction straight to the brightest setting. This is not super daylight bright, but you can definitely pick it up in daylight. But guys, to be honest, I never use illumination unless it's low light because the black makes a perfect contrast. I like it. It's easy to see. And we're going to look at the reticle system, but the way it's developed is just, it draws your eye to the chevron, and that's really what you want. Now here we have the reticle through the lens. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the illumination to 11. That's the full bright illumination. Now, of course, in daylight, it's not going to be as visible, but this illumination is not made to be used during daylight. Now here we have it pulled out, and you can see that the reticle is not going to take up a lot of space. And for a combat close quarter type scope, that's really what you want. But it also gives you the capability of reaching out again to 200, 300, 400 yards. And honestly, this is a true 1X because there's no magnification. Another thing is the clarity of the glass. It is top notch. There's no blue tint to it. It's just really clear. And that way, with both eyes open, you're getting a really good crystal clear view. Okay, here's a diagram of the reticle, and you see there's a horseshoe that surrounds a chevron. And the chevron tip is an infinity point, and you can really make pinpoint shots. Then you have stratia lines that run down vertically. This simulates illumination. With the scope illuminated, it's great for low light. It's fairly bright. You can see it during the daylight, but it's not daylight bright. I really like the Etched Reticle better for daylight bright. In the chevron contains your bullet drop. At the tip, it's 50 to 200 yards. At the angle of the chevron, it's 300 yards. And then at the bottom edge, you're sighting in at 400 yards. Now the stratia lines that run below the chevron and the donut are your range estimation. Where you have a man that's standing on the bottom line where his head comes to, you can estimate range. So here we have a man standing, you can estimate that at 200 yards. Here at 300 yards, at the bottom 400 yards. Now you'll notice that each of the lines above the bottom line represent 18 inches average center of mass. So at 200 yards, that's 18 inches, 300, and then 400. And this really works well when someone is prone. Now each side of the donut are moving target leads, and a man average with a rifle it runs 8.6 miles per hour. So as soon as he hits the outside of the donut, you take your shot, and he'll be in the line of fire when the shot arrives. Now even though it looks to be a very simple reticle system, it has a lot of capability. There's no math involved. I mean, it's easy to range estimate. You've got your leads. I mean, it's just a really great reticle system. Now we're going to try out some of the 30 round Amin2 mags. And I want to thank Freedom Munitions for supplying the ammunition. Also, Lula loaders. Tell you what, guys, it makes life a lot easier. Of course, again, these are the Texas commemorative. Got these at the NRA show while I was there. Thought that was a pretty cool touch. Now obviously we've gone over the reticle, so you know the capability, and it's up to par. That's one of the things about Primary Arms is they do actual field testing instead of just working up formulas and equations to set the reticle. And so Dimitri at Primary Arms, who develops the ACSS, he is constantly testing and tweaking this design. It's his design, and he's really making sure that it's on par. And guys, I'll tell you, the way that these are lined up, if you're doing your part right, you will get on target. With the auto range capability, where the reticle is set, so there's no dope, there's no math, you can just right there on the reticle set it for the right place. And so getting targets out to 300 yards, is not a problem. And of course, obviously this is set to going out to 400, and then you can just go on out if you can. Now you've got a 1X sight, so it's pretty much, there's no magnification. But definitely getting to those center of mass hits, you can do it with this scope. It's very tough and rugged. I mean, we were shooting this thing. In fact, I went a number of times to the range with this optic. And I've kind of held off because when this was first announced, they sold out immediately. And so now they're back in stock. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go ahead and put this review out there. Because guys, I'm telling you, if you're looking for a 1X scope, and you have any kind of stigmatism, or you just want that etched reticle capability, guys, if you have a red dot and that thing goes out, you're done for. And that's one of the huge things about this sight. There are just a lot of different things. You're not getting magnification, but buddy, this is quick and fast. Right here we have our battery compartment, and it uses the 2032, which are the most common scope batteries. And there it is set up. You have a small little cushion as well, and that's to keep it locked in, teeth all the way around. But it does have, it's very easy to pull back. So pulling this battery out is not too much of a chore like it is with a lot of optics. And it goes on very smooth. But now, speaking of battery life, you're only going to get about 3,000 hours of battery life on the medium setting. And that's different from a lot of your microdots, which will get 50,000 hours. But here's the thing, guys, you have an etched reticle. So you don't really need to leave the illumination on like you do with a standard red dot, which that's all you have is the red dot. Included is just a standard screw-on mount. This is T1 compatible, so any of your T1 aimpoint mounts will fit, which has become pretty much the norm. In fact, here I have one of the Dobro mounts. This is a quick detach mount. This is really excellent, and I really like quick detach for these scopes, but this really held up well. And yes, I have two Cyclops because I love this scope already. The weight is 9.7 ounces with the mount. It's about 4 inches long and a couple inches high. It doesn't take up a lot of room on your Picatinny rail. And to me, it's compact. I mean, even it's not really that much larger than a red dot. I mean, again, you're really talking about an inch difference. But guys, the ACSS reticle makes the difference no matter what. I mean, it is one of the most ingenious reticle systems, combat reticle systems, out on the market. Now I want to thank Primary Arms for sending the Cyclops and for their sponsorship of the channel. These run $239.99, and for what you're getting and the lifetime warranty on these, they're just excellent. So the price seems to be more of a medium price scope, but the features are premium. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Primary arm Cyclops, let's check the primary arm Cyclops. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that, yeah. I am definitely stoked on the, I am definitely excited. I am definitely preferring. Now this simulates illumination. This simulates illumination. This simulates illumination.